Welcome back to Yanks Abroad. We just had our October U.S. men's national team camp. We've been blessed this fall. We've had Gold Cup in the summer, September, October, again in 3 weeks in November. But you know what it means when it's the end of an international break. It's time to look at the World Cup squad and where it looks and what it looks like right now after this October camp. You know the four categories. For those who are new here, welcome to Yanks Abroad. Locks, at-large bids, our last four players into the 26-man squad, and then, of course, our first four out. I believe it's going to be a 26-man squad for the World Cup. Of course, we don't know for sure yet. They have not confirmed 23 versus 26, but we're going to go under the assumption that it's 26, and let's start with some of our obvious locks, but talking about how well they've been playing recently. And first and foremost, Folarin Balogun just has been a world changer, really, for this U.S. men's national team squad. He has just brought a different element to the way that we can play. He has 11 goal involvements in his 17 U.S. men's national team starts, which, first of all, is an outrageous record. He, off the ball, changes the way that we're able to create space and play through central areas. He has been awesome. He is one of the first names on the team sheet when we get to that World Cup in 2026 in June. He's going to be the starting striker pretty much no matter what happens here in the next 8 months. Another spectacular camp for him. And it's funny, he's really only played under Pochettino a couple of times, but he's somebody who fits that mold super well. His ability to drift out wide, he's talked about it. The fact that he grew up playing as a winger at Hale End, then moved to center forward, has really improved his movement and dragging defenders all over the place. So Folarin Balogun, that first name on the list for me right now. Then we're going to go to another obvious one, Christian Pulisic. Unfortunate, obviously, a little bit of an international break here for Pulisic. Unable to start the first match, came in the last 20 minutes, and then getting hurt against Australia. It doesn't seem like a terrible injury. It seems like he had a little ankle thing coming in, and it was a precaution. You know, bar injury, this is two of our starting front three here at the World Cup, no matter how you spin it. And obviously Christian Pulisic, a massive part of AC Milan's side at the moment. And that next player in our front three who has taken the U.S. by storm, he's taken a lot of European football by storm, and that's Malik Tillman, who has been spectacular by Bayer Leverkusen. It's so funny, I feel like for most U.S. men's national team fans, and I'm not necessarily talking about those watching this channel, but those just casual viewers going into the Gold Cup this summer, maybe we're not too familiar with Malik Tillman, but anyone who's been watching this channel for about 18 months now knows that I've guaranteed Malik Tillman's spot in this side for a very long time. And when Pochettino came in, Malik Tillman is the perfect player for Mauricio Pochettino. His ability to win second balls, his ability to play right in behind the striker as that player who picks up anything that happens in the half spaces. Malik Tillman, another absolute lock for this World Cup squad. And then you've got a man who had maybe his least in-form international break in a long time for the U.S. men's national team with two mistakes leading to goal, but still, no matter how you spin it, our most important defender, Chris Richards, who I've spoken a lot about now as we look to change to this back three, back five formation that Pochettino has kind of altered his tactical system around here for the U.S. men's national team. And I'll continue to implore Pochettino to move Chris Richards from center back to right center back. That is where he's most comfortable. That is where he's playing at a nearly world-class level for Crystal Palace over the last 9 months. And that's where he's most effective on the ball, which to me is more important almost than his defending off the ball. I also think there are other players better suited to defending on the ball as a center back. Chris Richards is a really good wide 1v1 defender. He's really good at taking risks in defense and then being able to recover. He has great recovery speed, but those risks as a center back often don't play out as well for the team. Nonetheless, Chris Richards amongst the locks here. Another player who had an interesting camp. I wouldn't say it was his best camp. I don't think he would feel that it was his best camp, but Tim Weah. And with this change in formation, Tim Weah's seemingly thought of as more of a wingback than an attacker, probably because the three attackers we play with now in this back five formation, and there's no guarantee Pochettino is going to stick with this for the World Cup, but he seemingly has tried it both matches here in October against, albeit very strong competition. We'll see what happens in November. The two attackers who are behind the striker are really inside forwards. They're the double tens that we play with when we play with a back four. It doesn't change the way that we look at the team very much in terms of those two attackers. But Tim Weah, of course, was one of the wide attackers, right? So in this new formation with Tim Weah, when he's not able to play, right, as one of these double tens, right, that we see so much with Pochettino, that hasn't changed from the back four. You are still playing with these two players in here, and now these wingbacks are coming higher and wider to kind of create this four, right? In a back four, usually, though, you have a left back coming in overlapping, and then your right winger comes out here as the four, and your left winger tucks in with the other 10 to make the double tens. In that situation, Tim Weah's starting position is a little bit higher up. He's actually starting as a right winger. Whereas when you're playing in this formation, I'm just using the formation from that first match, right? I think that was probably the more preferred formation against the better side Ecuador, where he had Weah playing off the right wing back. We saw him play as left wing back against Australia. Tim Weah actually, I thought, struggled a little bit because he doesn't want to receive the ball this low down and have to pass forward. He's not a pass-forward player. He wants to receive the ball here. He's great at ball retention. He's great at receiving long passes and then turning and creating attack. He's great at running in behind. We've seen that at Marseille already a couple of times, including that goal, of course, against Real Madrid. So, yes, Tim Weah still very much a lock for this team, mostly because this formation actually makes maybe more space for Tim Weah as a player, but it's not where he's at his best. So it'll be interesting to see now what that means for him positionally. And when we have everybody fit, when Dest and Anthony Robinson are fit, does Tim Weah actually a starter anymore? That I'm not sure about. Moving on to some more locks here, of course, for the World Cup squad. Ricardo Pepi, number 2 striker. He's battled some injuries here. I think Pochettino is being real careful with him as well as he gets back to full fitness, of course, for PSV. But there's no doubt he's our second best striker, has a chance to push Balogun for that number 1 spot if he has a really strong second half of the year here, if Balogun struggles for club. But Ricardo Pepi, definitely a lock for this side as well. Some of you have been a little bit worried about this player because of his injuries. It's been a bit odd. He hasn't really been able to play for Fulham too much yet. That's, of course, Anthony Jedi Robinson, but did get called up to this squad, but then didn't get any minutes on the pitch. He's had some knee surgery from pretty much playing too much over the past few years, but he'll be back and fully fit. He'll be the starting left wing back or left back, no matter how you spin it here, for the U.S. men's national team. And actually somebody who I think we've forgotten his importance down that left-hand side. We really struggled in this break with that left wing-back position. Max Arfsten, you would think in a back five, with the ability to get way higher up the pitch with less defensive responsibility, that a player like Max Arfsten would really thrive there. But what happened was actually that since Arfsten was asked to play a little bit more as a role in build-up and had to drop a little bit deeper, that he struggled. Anthony Robinson, what he's actually best at isn't just getting forward and using his speed. He's really good at receiving out wide, either dribbling in to kind of help break the press or passing and following that ball. And his ability to use his right foot to pass interior and then come out around the other side and overlap. So Anthony Robinson, incredibly important to this side. We got a new player here in the locks that I'm not sure if other people are ready to make this prediction. It's not a hot take in any way, but I think it's just one of those positions where we don't have a lot of talent, and that's Matt Freese. He has now started, I think it's 10 straight matches in goal for the U.S. men's national team. That makes him officially a lock for this squad and getting pretty close to a lock for the number 1 overall goalkeeper position unless something wild happens. Matt Freese is your goalkeeper right now for the U.S. men's national team, and he's earned it. He's been solid. His distribution with the ball at his feet is still pretty shaky. A couple of pretty poor clearances during this international break, but it is what it is. Matt Freese is our number 1. We've got 2 more locks here for this category. Tyler Adams, of course. I'm not sure he's a lock for the starting 11, and I actually have a few at-large bids who I have in my starting 11 for the World Cup, which you will see at the end of this video. So make sure to stay tuned for that. After the tiers, you're going to see my starting 11 after this international break. But Tyler Adams, 100% a lock for the squad. Not much else needed to be said there. And then finally, the last in the lock section is Serginho Dest. We saw how important he was to the side in the September camp, what he can bring as a right wing back, his ability to overlap, his ability to invert and step into midfield and be a part of that diamond that we see happen so often off the right-hand side that allows a Cardoso or an Adams to kind of drop deeper into the 6, or a Tessman. It allows a McKennie or, dare I say, Christian Roldan, as we saw in this side. So we'll see in November what that means for the side in general, but Serginho Dest certainly a lock. Now, there's a player who has been a lock in every other video we've done of these squads who I'm actually taking out of the lock column. And It's surprising because playing has actually hurt him, in my opinion. And that's Weston McKennie. Listen, I think there's about a 99% chance Weston McKennie, if healthy, is in the World Cup squad. But he went from 100% to 99% after this international break. What this new formation means to me is two things for Weston McKennie. Number one, Mauricio Pochettino does not trust Weston McKennie in that pivot at this moment. The kind of openness to the way he plays, his creativity, his versatility, the fact that he likes to pop up in so many different areas, the fact that he likes to roam, and what makes him Weston McKennie, which we love as a player, isn't something that Mauricio Pochettino is looking for in the double pivot. He's looking for a player who's going to stick to his role, who's not going to leave the other midfielder all on his own to kind of cover all that space, who's not going to leave his back three, who wants to sit there in front of them and help not necessarily just defend, but keep the shape. And Weston McKennie has not been selected to do that. Now, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is I don't think Weston McKennie was super comfortable playing as a double 10 inside forward type of player. The thing about our double 10s is they can drift wide, but if they're going to drift wide, that needs to be with somebody who's willing to then kind of come inside and interlap. And so the issue with that was we didn't have that player off the right in either match. We had Freeman, who at times can, but clearly is more comfortable, especially without the ball overlapping. And we had Tim Weah, who definitely wants to stay wide. Now, if Serginho Dest is the right wing back, I could see a world in which McKennie and Dest could work down that right-hand side. Dest likes to get inside, likes to get into the half spaces, likes to receive there and create from there, has a great range of passing from that area as well. So I could see it working with Weston McKennie, but from this international break, I think Weston McKennie hurt his chances at making the World Cup squad. Again, this is not an overreaction. 99.5% chance that Weston McKennie is in the World Cup squad if he's healthy. But I kind of thought he took a little bit of a step back under Pochettino here, and it's one to watch. Let's see what happens in November. It's an interesting one for me. Somebody who, on the flip side, went from last four into an at-large bid is Haji Wright. And for those of you, I know I said it in my last video, for those of you who love this channel, who watch this channel, know what I think about Haji Wright, but I'm going to say it again. This man is just a natural-born goal scorer who scores in big moments always. I don't know if I can think of a U.S. men's national team goal that Haji Wright scored that we weren't either behind or tied or needed. He scores when we need it most. And those types of players in tournaments are the types of players you need to have. Like, respectfully, at this moment, if we're down a goal or in need of a goal and we, Balogun's run ragged, like Haji Wright is as much of an option, if not more of an option than Ricardo Pepi. To me, Ricardo Pepi, yes, he scores loads of goals, but I think the valuable asset he brings most to this team is the way that we can play off of him, the way that he uses his body, his hold-up play, his ability to, interchange passing and play with those 10s in the middle of the park. What Haji Wright brings is excellent running off the back shoulder, timely scoring with few touches. He is one of the most important players to the squad for me at this moment. And not only because he can do it at striker, but let's say you want to bring on a striker to score alongside Fuller and Balogun. I don't think bringing on Ricardo Pepi makes sense. The two of them want to occupy a lot of the same spaces, whereas Haji Wright is happy to drift out wide. He is an inside forward. He can play kind of underneath a striker if need be in a moment where we're attacking, trying to get a goal in the last 10 minutes. We've seen him do it so many times. And again, I'll bring it back to the fact that he's such a good back shoulder runner. Both of those goals came that way. Haji Wright into the at-large bids. He's left Josh Sargent in his dust in this conversation of third striker here for the U.S. men's national team. A huge international break for him, and it's 11 goals in his last 11 for club and country, just in spectacular form. A player who I think kind of had a bit of a surprising break for a lot of reasons, but I'm going to keep him here in the at-large bids because I still think he's fairly certain to make the World Cup squad at this moment, and that's Diego Luna, who I was shocked not to see start either match, especially since Pulisic was injured, right? So that first match, I kind of thought it would be Luna and Tillman as the double 10s, but we saw Weston McKennie. Second match, Pulisic came in. Yet again, we saw Weston McKennie, and I think that was Pochettino just experimenting with McKennie in that role. Diego Luna did end up coming in and playing for Pulisic, did end up coming in the first match. There was also rumors that Diego Luna wasn't going to be in this squad at all because he's not in great form in the MLS. But at this moment, he fits the system too well to not be at the very least an at-large bid. He had been working his way closer to the locks, but obviously this break kind of brought him back down a little bit, having not started, but we're going to keep him here in at-large bids. He's definitely still pretty safe for making this squad. A player that I see a lot of people comment like, I don't think he's going to make the World Cup squad, which is shocking to me because he may be one of our 5 most skilled. Like, he's first of all, a profile we don't have anywhere else in the squad, but something that, and one that we absolutely need, but somebody who's playing at Atletico Madrid, Johnny Cardoso. If Johnny Cardoso is fit, he's making the World Cup squad, and he's going to make a huge argument for starting in this World Cup team. And as I said, stay tuned for the starting lineup, but spoiler alert, I have Johnny Cardoso in our starting lineup. He's a controller. He's a smart player. He's experienced. He hasn't done it yet, really, for the U.S. men's national team, and I know that's people's biggest complaint about him. I still haven't really seen him have the opportunity in a match with players around him who make sense. Like, the thing about Johnny Cardoso is he's a simple player, and I mean that in a positive way. He does the simple things well. He's a controller. He stays in front of the back line. He gets in passing lanes. He doesn't commit to things. He plays sideways when he needs to. He makes smart passes. He's a metronome, volume passer type of player. Like, you're not going to necessarily notice him always, and that's what I think is people's biggest complaint about him. Yes, he's made some mistakes for the U.S. men's national team. He hasn't looked super comfortable, but again, he's the kind of player who needs other players around him to play off of. That's when he's at his best. So definitely an at-large bid for me still, and very safe in this side, alongside somebody who definitely helped their case in this international break, which is Tanner Tessman. Tanner Tessman, again, I spoke about this in both of the post-match videos that I did this week, but just going to bring it up again. Patience in midfield. Tanner Tessman is probably the only midfielder outside of Johnny Cardoso who has patience. And for a midfielder, that's really important. We, for years, have had this kind of mix of backward, sideways passing with a lack of ability to get into central areas under Greg Berhalter. That was our biggest issue, combined with some franticness in midfield, right? Like, Tyler Adams is a frantic player. I don't mean that as a bad thing, but that's the kind of player he is. Energizer bunny. Yunus Musah is kind of a carry-first midfielder who likes to play with energy. Weston McKennie kind of is, he's free-roaming. He likes to be all over the place. Tanner Tessman is patient, smart, and just has an athletic quality that we don't otherwise have in midfield. And the patience that he possesses actually is super creative and attack-minded in a lot of ways. Like, he likes to wait and see if he can play a forward pass first. But it's a patient way of doing it. Whereas, and I'm not taking away from Tyler Adams, it's a different style. Tyler Adams gets the ball, and he's looking forward to play that pass first time or, directly, immediately. Tanner Tessman is looking for the best opportunity and finds it more often than not. A great international break here for Tanner Tessman, working his way up towards that lock category, no doubt about it. Our midfield has really, really improved in the last 2 international breaks, just from what we've seen from those players. Alex Freeman, going to keep him in the at-large bids. At this moment, it looks like he is very much preferred by Pochettino, and it has looked that way since the Gold Cup. He's been one of Pochettino's most used players. He's somebody Pochettino believes can play right center back in a back 5, right wing back in a back 5, right back in a back 4, a lot of different positions, something that checks a lot of boxes for Pochettino. I know there are split opinions on Alex Freeman here, but not for me. Definitely in the at-large bids, no matter what. Tim Ream, another one. Tim Ream continues to be solid. I keep him in at-large bids and not locks simply because of age. Like, there is always a chance with someone of his age that at any point you could just kind of see a quick decline in athleticism. One injury is kind of all it would take. Like, I'm not even saying he'd be injured at the World Cup, but I'm saying he has a, slight groin pull or hamstring pull in December, healthy by March. But like, you could see a very steep decline in athleticism at this age. That's the only reason he's in at-large bids. He's probably one of the biggest locks in terms of talent and usage in all of those categories, but I'm going to keep him at-large bids pretty much up until March or April, just because of that chance of steep decline. But Tim Ream, very important to the way that we play, no doubts about it. Going to just do quickly backup goalkeepers. It's going to be Matt Turner for sure. He's as close to a lock as possible. Just the fact that he hasn't played, I'm going to keep him at large bids. And Patrick Schulte, to me, is going to be the third goalkeeper. He's been in every single one. Some people are saying Chris Brady is better. I haven't seen Chris Brady play enough to possibly have a feeling about that. But these are the goalkeepers I think we're going to take here. You see the Matt Freese, Turner, and Patrick Schulte. A couple more here in the at-large bids. We've got three more here in the at-large bids, all defenders. First, we're going to go with Max Arfston. Right now, there's going to be two left backs. And it's going to be Anthony Robinson, and it's going to be Max Arfston. There's not really much of a conversation. No other left backs are being considered, being brought in. It's not going to be John Tolkien, of course, unless there's injury. All of this is unless there's injury, but John Tolkien's not making the sides. I'm not saying this is what I would prefer, but Max Arfston is, again, another one pretty close to the lock category. Somebody Pochettino really likes and trusts and continues to use. Then we're going to have two more players here in the at-large bid category. And the first one is going to be Mark McKenzie. And I almost dropped Mark McKenzie into the last four in. I almost dropped him down a tier. But I just can't see a world in which Walker Zimmerman is challenging Mark McKenzie for this World Cup squad. My belief is Mark McKenzie, number one, played pretty solid against Australia. I thought he made one or two little mistakes. I talked about it in that video, so if you haven't watched it, go watch it. But Mark McKenzie is an aggressive player, and once in a while, that's his biggest fault. But it's also his biggest strength, and it's something we don't really have in the side. An aggressive center back, a bully in the back line, and that's something that is super useful to the side, especially when you're playing in a back five. His passing range is spectacular. His versatility, playing left center back, right center back, very capable and comfortable at all three. And again, I've talked about it a lot in terms of the type of passing. Ream and Chris Richards like to be in that wide center back area, playing those kind of diagonal, on-the-ground bouncing balls. Mark McKenzie, from any position with both feet, has supreme ability and accuracy playing balls over the top in the air, pretty much spot on most of the time. Really like Mark McKenzie's tool set. And this last at-large bid is actually somebody who was in the last four in last time, made this squad, but did not play at any point, which I think actually helps his case. And that's going to be Cameron Carter-Vickers. Cameron Carter-Vickers is one of those players to me, which you see in all sorts of World Cup squads for every country, who is experienced. He's fine. He is somebody who has just been there before, who played Champions League football. Like, to not bring Cameron Carter-Vickers to bring Walker Zimmerman would not make sense to me. And I think Pochettino agrees with that. He's somebody, again, who can play in a whole host of different center back positions. I'm going to put him in at-large bids. I think, to me, you saw Miles Robinson play in these two matches because Pochettino is trying to understand what he thinks of Miles Robinson, how Miles Robinson is comfortable with this side. Cameron Carter-Vickers doesn't play, to me, because Pochettino knows the quantity and the quality of what that is. I'm not saying there's tons of it in terms of quality, but that's my belief on Cameron Carter-Vickers. Now we're going to get to the real contentious stuff here. We've got 8 players we're going to name. 4 of them are going to make the squad, and 4 of them are not going to make the squad. Now, there may be one name that you surprisingly haven't seen yet. This is a player who was a lock the first time I did this, a lock the second time I did this. He was an at-large bid last time. He's now moving down to last 4 in. And it's not based on his ability, but it's just based on what's been going on, and that's Yunus Musah. Now, if you told me in March that Yunus Musah would not be a lock for this World Cup squad, I would not believe you. And it's not just about his ability, but it's about the fact that Pochettino started Yunus Musah in almost every match he could when he first took over. Yunus Musah had an absolute lockdown on that right wing position, if you remember. He was playing as a right winger. He was cutting in and kind of being that right side of that diamond a lot of the time, getting wide once in a while, scored his first goal for the U.S. men's national team under Pochettino. But at this moment, he has not been called up now for the last 3 camps. The Gold Cup was one thing. A lot of those players either didn't ask to not be in it or Club World Cup. It was a different squad. September, it looked like he had just made the move to Atalanta, so it was a matter of getting settled. October now, a bit of a stranger one that we did not see Yunus Musah in the side. So for me right now, Yunus Musah is the last 4 in because I'm not sure where Pochettino rates him and how he thinks of him. And especially with this new system, right, just to take a look at it right now, where does Yunus Musah fit here? He's not a double 10. He's not a double pivot player. He's played some right back in his career, but I wouldn't put him there over, Dest, Freeman, Weah, even Weston McKennie, who's playing there consistently on either side for Juventus right now. So for me, Yunus Musah is a little bit one of where do you fit? And not just what I think that, but clearly Pochettino thinks that. I'm going to keep him in last four in right now because ability-wise, he's one of our best. Athleticism-wise, he offers a lot. He can play a bunch of different positions. If we move back to the back four, which I think we will play sometimes in that back four depending on competition. So right now I'm going to keep Yunus Musah in last four in, but sliding quickly over the last few months here. Next is somebody who definitely would have been a part of this squad if not for injury, and that's Zendejas. Zendejas is somebody Pochettino has rated from the beginning. He's in really good form, and good form for the U.S. men's national team. I like his versatility as well. Somebody who can play on either side, can play kind of as a right winger, who can come in and play behind the striker a little bit, offers a left foot that I feel that we don't really have a lot of in this squad. Zendejas, I'm going to keep in as my last four in. We need another attacker in this side. We don't need another striker. We're kind of short for wide options. So Zendejas, to me, is in that last four in. Now, we've got two more positions for this World Cup squad. Two more spots. And the second to last one for me is going to go to Miles Robinson, who, because we're moving to this back five, I believe we're going to take 5 center backs. Now, Chris Richards and Tim Ream are going to make the squad. To me, Mark McKenzie and Carter-Vickers are also pretty close to they're not close to locks, but they're the next two up for me. But I do think you need to take 9 defenders. If you're going to play 5 defenders in every match, you got to bring 9, not 8. And Miles Robinson, although I thought he was unimpressive, it's not even unimpressive. I just thought he was fine. And fine is okay. Fine gets the job done. I trust him more than Walker Zimmerman. He's got great recovery speed. He's been here before. I think Miles Robinson, for me right now, is going to be that 9th defender who makes the side, and I feel pretty good about him there in this moment. There are players who I would prefer, who you're going to see are in that first 4 out, but from what I've seen from Pochettino, there's no reason to believe that it won't be Miles Robinson. Now, this last spot here for this last 4 in, there are many names in contention. And I'm not sure this is going to be a popular one, but again, I'm not doing this based off of how I would put the squad together. And I think that's important, right? If I was putting the squad together, it would look very different. But I'm just basing this off of what we've seen from Pochettino, what we've seen on the pitch, and what we're hearing in the rumor mill. And the last spot is going to go to Christian Roldan, who, of course, had the spectacular game against Australia, is somebody that Pochettino kind of has fallen in love with, has spoken highly of, the players speak highly of, as somebody who brings a lot of energy to training and on hard work. He is kind of a profile that we don't have a ton of, and I liken him to Weston McKennie in the fact that he likes to play the ball forward from midfield, but Pochettino doesn't trust McKennie there. So you need a player like that who can come in on the left side of that diamond and offer that passing. Look, Christian Roldan has a lot of work to do to make this World Cup squad still. I'd say of the 26 players you are looking at here, he has the most work to do to make this World Cup squad. But as of right now, I am going to select him as my last man in to the squad. And now that leaves some very popular players here for the first 4 out, and none more popular and more spoken about than Gio Reyna. And if you recall, from the first 2 times I did this, I had Gio Reyna on the first 4 out. Then in September, even though he didn't get called up to the squad, he had played for Gladbach, he had made a great debut, I put him into the last 4 in. Now we're back to the first 4 out because he's injured again, not playing for Gladbach, and if he does not play a consistent running game, if he does not get 20-plus matches in for club this year, and at least 4 matches under Pochettino, 2 camps under Pochettino, I think Gio Reyna has next to no chance in making this World Cup squad. I think even first 4 out right now is a little bit friendly for Gio Reyna. I think he's really on the outside looking in, and it's getting dire. If he's not fit and in this November squad, I'm not sure he's going to be on this first 4 out list for me. Just going to throw that out there. Now, the other highly contested name that has been spoken about a ton with this Pochettino and his selections is Joe Scally and the rumors of the golf cart incident. Now, I hope they can move past this because, as I said, I would rather have Joe Scally than Miles Robinson as kind of that extra defender, right? Joe Scally can play as the right center back in a back five. He's done it for club. He's done it for country. He can play as a right back if we go to a back four. I don't really love him as a right wing back in a back five, but I don't imagine he'd ever be selected for that. We have 3 players above him to do that role. But Joe Scally is versatile. He can play off the left if you need him to play left back. He's experienced. I'd really like to see him get into the side over Miles Robinson. I hope in November, both of these players here in the first 4 out get selected. They deserve the chance to show Pochettino what they can bring. But the Joe Scally thing has gotten out of control. And again, he's another player to me, like, if he's healthy, does not get called up for the November squad, he may move off this first 4 out list. Like, November is going to be a big one for me and how I look at this squad. If Pochettino continues to not select players who a lot of us feel are talented enough, then to me that means they are not being considered at all by Pochettino, in which case it's a waste of breath for me to be talking about them in these videos. Now, we've got 2 more first 4 out players, tons of players you could put into these roles. You could talk Brendan Aronson. You could talk John Tolkien. You could talk Walker Zimmerman. You could talk Damian Downs. None of those players are going to make it in. For me, Jack McGlynn is going to be in this first 4 out conversation because he was supposed to be in this squad in October. He picked up an injury. If he was in this squad, he would have stayed in last 4 in, which is where I had him after the September camp. I love what Jack McGlynn brings. I really hope, again, like, to me, I'd rather end up bringing Jack McGlynn than Christian Roldan. I'd rather end up bringing Jack McGlynn than if we don't have to bring 9 defenders and Miles Robinson. Like, I'd really like to bring Jack McGlynn. I've mentioned 9 million times the way I feel about players who can strike a ball and score from anywhere in big tournaments. Ball striking wins big tournaments. Just go look at the Euros from last summer. The ball striking and goal scoring that was happening in that tournament was out of this world. And that's the difference in margins in these big tournaments and how you can potentially beat sides that are better than you and create upsets that, shock the world. The last player I'm going to have in this first 4 out is somebody that, just because Pochettino loves him, and that's Sebastian Berhalter. I don't think he was in consideration for this camp. This was mostly a non-MLS camp due to the MLS season going on. Right now, Berhalter is one of the last ones out for me. I think he'll continue to move off of this list in November. But just for right now, he made the most sense to kind of drop in here. It was between him and Adjemang for me. The people who I didn't consider at all, who some people probably would, Josh Sargent was never in consideration for me in any way, shape, or form for this side. Brendan Aronson, as I mentioned, and Patrick Adjemang was close to this first 4 out. But that's what the squad looks like for me right now. I'm going to quickly give you a look at what I think the starting lineup is, which has not really changed for me from the last camp. This is what I'd like to see. Pulisic and Tillman as your double 10s, Dest and Jedi as your wing backs. And the biggest point of contention, of course, is this double pivot. Who's it going to look like? Is it going to be Adams? Is it going to be Tespin, Cardoso, McKennie, Roldan, Berhalter? I mean, we have no idea. Of all the things we have seen from Pochettino, this is the one that we have the least information about. Who is his preferred midfield? We don't know. Could Aiden Morris find his way into the squad and into the midfield? I guess maybe. We've seen so many different combinations. I don't know how many combinations other than the Adams-Berhalter De La Torre combination in the Gold Cup we've seen more than once. This, to me, is the best balance of a controller in Cardoso, a build-up and creative maestro in Tanner Tessman, 2 players who are smart, who can stay in front of this back 3 and create 2 players who can drop, right? If Richards gets high and wide and you want to get into this little kind of like back 4 and build up, which we saw a lot of, and James Sands was filling out, Tessman can come over here. Cardoso can drop a little bit deeper. Dest can kind of invert as well, and Pulisic can drop up here as Jedi gets higher up the pitch. Like, this is probably the one that makes the most sense for the way Pochettino wants to play. These 2 players are just perfectly suited to play together. There is a worry of lack of athleticism, but I think you can make up for that playing with these 3 center backs. So this is my preferred starting 11. Thanks so much for watching Yanks Abroad. Hit that subscribe button. Like, please. Comment down below your thoughts on the squad. Who did I get right? Who did I get wrong? And this starting 11. Is there a better one than this? If so, let me know what it is. And we'll talk to you guys next week with, of course, we'll be back to looking at some performances from our players for their clubs. Keep an eye out for that as well. This is Yanks Abroad, and we'll talk to you next week.